Hi friends, this is Marilyn from tarotclarity.com, and this morning I saw that Mascha dropped her next video on her Tarot Trump series. Today is the Wheel of Fortune. Now for those of you who are familiar with my channel, sometimes whenever I see the Wheel of Fortune in a deck, I'll comment how it's probably one of my least favorite depictions of the concept of the Wheel of Fortune, because so many times it's gotten muddled, or what was actually on the cards is not clear. So although I really like the meaning and I like the concept of the Wheel of Fortune, I don't always like the way it appears on a card. And so for this reason, I picked some of the cards that I think are fun representations, or clear representations, or more fluid representations of what the Wheel of Fortune means. I've placed the cards face down so you can see their backs and the boxes that accompany them. And before I get started, I'll mention that I'm not going to mention them in any particular order from favorite to least or anything like that. It's just a random presentation. So here we have the selection I've made. Front and center is the Brambilla Tarot. This deck only has 2 Triumph cards, and I regret that I didn't show the other Triumph card when we had the Emperor. I forgot all about it. But the other Triumph card that the Brambilla has is the Wheel of Fortune, and because it's an early representation of the Wheel of Fortune from the 1400s, I thought it was a very good idea to showcase this Wheel of Fortune, because we see in an unadulterated form just what is going on in this card. We have Lady Fortuna. We have somebody at the top. Now you'll notice, I believe that this person has feathers in their hair, which might be a suggestion of dumb luck. You're not always on top because of skill. Sometimes you're on top because you're just lucky for no rhyme or reason. We have someone who's at the bottom, someone who's aspiring, and someone who's on their way from having been on top. You'll notice that throughout various tarot decks, sometimes the wheel turns this way, and sometimes the wheel turns that way. And depending on how it turns, you may get an idea of what it's referencing by other cards that appear next to it. For this reason, I think the Wheel of Fortune, despite it not always being a card that I like a lot, I do like this representation. But I don't always like the representation in other decks. But I do like how flexible the Wheel of Fortune is. It can mean good luck, right? Your luck will change. But this card also demonstrates how sometimes it's not about skill. It's just about just good fortune, just good luck. In the same vein of having clarity of what's being represented, we have another card. I don't particularly like this one, but I had to pull a 5th one, and I was being lazy. This one is by Lo Scarabeo, Tarot Neoclassico. I believe it was originally printed in 1810. Now we see the wheel turning in a different direction. So perhaps whatever's on this side of the wheel would be an indication of something going from here to there. It depends on the context of the question. Whereas in this card, the fortune might be going from here, whatever's represented on this side, to whatever's here. Another card I really like the representation of is the Rare Triumphs Tarot by Cumpstey. I like it because it just represents the concept, Lady Fortuna on a disc, and we see waves in water, and I kind of think that this might represent going with the flow. So it's a little bit of a different, I think, a little bit of a different meaning, that sometimes you're on the top, sometimes you're on the bottom kind of concept. I think in this case, it just shows going with the flow, being fluid, which is another aspect of the card. Now this one is the publication by Grimaud of the Etteilla deck. I didn't pull a facsimile deck. I do have the beautiful facsimile by Marco Benedetti, but I chose this one because because it is not a facsimile, and the image is very, very clear to see what's going on. I just think it's an interesting card. We have the monkey from TDM, which I don't think we see in the early decks. But it is a nod, I think, to TDM. So we have a monkey who's orchestrating the event. And then we have somebody descending and a rat ascending, which is a very interesting combination of individuals. I just like it because visually it's interesting. And the last card I have for this series is from Il Tarocco Bizzarro by Franco Bruna. And I think it's just whimsical and fun. We have two monkeys who were wearing a crown, so they're equal rank in society, but they take turns perhaps, competing. It could represent competition with one another. Another aspect of a possible meaning of the card. Now, if I were to see this card in a reading, I might think, well, two people who are in competition for one another, and it would really work well if the question was of that nature. And if the person who's asking for the reading is in business or something like that, I might say, well, at the moment if they are on top, if they're the person who feels like they're in a good spot, I say, just beware, whoever's on this side, right? Oh no, he's cranking it this way. So whatever's on this side, beware, because there's a chance that you'll be the monkey turning the wheel next. But I thought these were fun representations, or clear representations, not necessarily just my favorite. I have so many decks. Unfortunately, I don't go through every deck I have. I just recall certain decks that stick out to me. Now that I'm conscious of this challenge, I try to bear in mind certain cards for certain, triumph cards to pull for this series. I hope this was interesting and fun for you. Until next time, friends, peace and stay well. Be kind and do no harm.